Hello all, I welcome you here on behalf of Aurangabad WICASA and Aurangabad branch of ICAI. We are doing this podcast for especially for the future of our new CAs, our students who are currently in the final stage of CA examination and who are wondering what should they do after they get this degree, after they have completed the course. They are a bit confused about what to do, and our today's session is about the career in venture capitalism and investment banking. To discuss this here with us, we have here CA Shreyas Trivedi sir, and he has experience in venture capitalism, and he is going to guide us for for the future career of CAs who are currently confused about what to do next in their career. So, without wasting any time, we'll start the discussion with CA Shreyas Trivedi sir. And first of all, sir, welcome and thank you on behalf of ICI branch of Aurangabad. And for the very first question we would like to ask you about that how did you decide to become a CA and what drove you to the venture capitalism, which is a bit unusual for CAs to choose, and how did you came to know about the career in this section?
Sure. Thank you, Mohita. And first of all, I would also like to thank the WICASA branch of Aurangabad, WICASA of Aurangabad branch of ICI for inviting me to this discussion. And it's a pleasure to be here. So CA was, I would say, during after I cleared my 10th and during first 2 years of my college, I found my fascination with numbers, with balance sheets. I was not much into theory, not into law. So CA was an obvious choice that attracted me. And also, I remember in my childhood, my mom saying that we did not have any chartered accountants in our family. We had doctors, we had engineers. So then it always fascinated me. And I then inquired about it. And after my 12th exam, I enrolled for my foundation course. And that was my beginning with the CA curriculum. From career perspective, immediately after my articleship, my articleship was with a very small CA firm providing exposure all around with tax, with auditing. And when I completed my articleship, I joined a little bigger CA firm where my profile was totally different. I was not very much into taxation or auditing. We used to do management accounting, payroll processing, company sectoral compliances for uh, corporates, both Indian corporates as well as multinational corporates who have presence in India. And all along, that was my profile for next 13 years that I spent in industry. 2013, I moved to my own practice, again managing same profile, setting up new companies, setting up structures for multinationals who wants to come to India. And also in the process, I worked with a couple of global venture capital funds, US funds, Israeli funds who wants their portfolio companies to set up subsidiaries in India. And I would help them and I would work as consultant with this VC funds. And in 2017, through some of my friends who I knew from industry, they were planning to set up their own VC fund. And since we were connected for so good 15, 20 years, they offered me that why don't we co-found this and we do it jointly. So that was my entry into the venture capital fund in 2017. And since 2017, I have been focusing on setting up this cornerstone fund. And today we are 4 years into this journey, and it has been an amazing experience.
That's very wonderful, sir. That's really good. And you said that you've got experience of 13 years first in the generalized sector or the corporate sector, but venture capitalism was new for you when you started into it, and now you are a CFO of a venture capitalism firm. So it's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And I would like to know more about your position as CFO in
Yeah.
Cornerstone Venture Partners.
Yeah. So as CFO, see, I mean, when we start any new venture, the team is very limited. So we were three co-founders who started this, including me, two managing partners, and me as CFO. So when you start this venture capital fund, or you are in the process of setup, see, at different stages, there is a different role to be played. When you are incubating this or you are setting this up, your main focus is in on getting through your regulatory licenses. It is a very strictly regulated industry, I would say. So
Yes.
first and the foremost step is to get through your SEBI approval to set up this fund. So that was a good 6 months exercise, discussing with SEBI, making them applications, preparing your thesis for the fund. How are you going to collect the investments from investors? How are you going to deploy this money? And there is a whole lot of questions and FAQs that SEBI has, and SEBI would ensure that all your structures are properly in place, and only then it gives you the approval. So initial 6 months, I would say the exercise was to set up this fund and to get all the regulatory approvals. And then once the approvals are in place, then you approach investors who invest into your fund. So just to give you an idea of what venture capital is, venture capital is basically a pooling vehicle where you approach different investors and pool their money into a vehicle, and then further deploy it to a startup company who needs investment. So these investors, you would need to approach, you would need to present your thesis, they would discuss your financials, what are you offering them. So then there is a stage where you are marketing your fund kind of to the investors. So that was a journey. And once you have a reasonable amount of investment committed and drawn down, then you start deploying these funds. So then comes a phase where you are looking for portfolio companies, you are evaluating startups, you are assessing their business performance, how good they have performed so far in their own journey, whether this fits into your investment decisions or not. So venture capital, I would say, is split into different parts. While it will start with a setup process and regulatory compliances, then is an investor relationship part, then there is a portfolio management part. And yeah, it has been a very overall all-round experience, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, you get to meet new people with different perspectives, with different views, and you have to impress them with your portfolios and the business ideas which you have gotten in the process.
Absolutely.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. It is.
Um,
While for chartered accountants, the impression always has been, or the key profile areas have been always audits and taxation. But
yes.
with now, last 5 years, there are a lot of new avenues that have opened up, and venture capital is definitely upcoming avenue for chartered accountants to explore. And next 10 years is going to be this investment time. And as we are all reading in social media and in print media as well, the next decade is of India, as they say. So a lot of VC funds will grow and bloom, and I think it's a great opportunity for upcoming chartered accountants.
Yes. I myself have done my articleship from a very small firm. It opened me to different prospects of the. I think CA articleship, when we do it from a short or like a small size firm, we get to do everything.
Correct.
But in a big size firm, we have been assigned to a particular department and we do only that work. But
Correct.
I think the way you did it at a small size firm, it opened your horizons a little more.
It helps you get exposure to different aspects of the
Yes.
profession, frankly, and you are dealing with all aspects, be it direct tax, indirect tax, statutory audits or internal audits, and it gives you a lot of understanding of how the businesses are happening. See, when you are
Yes.
focusing only on a direct tax or only on transfer pricing, you are not sure of what what is happening in the production team or what is happening in the compliance team. So yes, I mean, your exposure in a small CA firm will help you gain insights into different aspects of business.
Yes, as we call it a 360-degree view, it gives us a
Absolutely.
whole view. Yes,
True.
definitely. And sir, moving forward, you already answered the question I wanted to ask, that what is actually a venture capital and
Yeah.
how does it work? So you said it includes two main things, that how to find better investors with
Yeah.
like low investment risk or something like that, and potential business ideas.
Yeah.
So
So,
how do you recognize it?
So basically, investment venture capital, as I said, is a pooling vehicle where you pool money from investors and deploy it in your portfolio companies. So basically, there are a lot of earlier this factor, as I would say, a bank finance would happen in good old days. The means of capital were very limited to businesses. It was only through bank financing that they could actually arrange capital. But now avenues have opened up so much that this what these venture capital funds do is they do both equity investment as well as debt investments. And there are a lot of non-banking finance companies doing this. There are a lot of even banking companies have special divisions doing this, and there are a lot of uh, first time venture capital funds like us, Cornerstone, that are doing this. So basically, we collect money from investors and we deploy it in our portfolio companies for whatever financial returns we are seeking in next 4 to 5 years. Is what we would usually do, and that is what a basic of venture capital is, as you would understand.
Yes, yes, sir. And I was going to ask you that like how do you decide into which business you want to invest? Like there is a boom going on this sector, or there is a slack in this sector. How do you decide it? Based on market, I think market statistics, or the news, or like what are the resources you use to decide it?
So I will tell you basically, depending upon our thesis. Firstly, for us, it is whether it fits into our thesis. We are basically technology focused venture capital fund, but there are a
Okay.
lot of other funds in the market who do 360 investment, whether it is technology or a healthcare or telecommunications. They do all type of investments. So basically, for us, the exercise is first to determine whether it fits our thesis, and once it fits our thesis, there are four characteristics that we would normally look into any businesses. One is the opportunity. So opportunity is basically what is the opportunity for a particular product in the market. Now, for example, if I say Uber, for example, when
Yes.
Uber or Ola started in India, there was a lot of problems with public transportation. I mean, people would, in a city like Mumbai, people would really struggle to get an auto rickshaw or a cab, and that was a genuine problem that Uber solved for you to get a ride on call or on demand. So, what is the opportunity for a product in the market, and is there a genuine problem that this product is looking to solve? Another feature will be your scalability. How big can you make this opportunity? And what is the average revenue that you would require? Say tomorrow, say today, a company starts as marketing its product, and if it has to achieve a turnover of 50 crores or 100 crores, I mean, what is the average revenue that you will need per customer to gain that turnover? Whether you will have a per customer average revenue of 100 rupees, 10,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees is what
Yes.
will determine your scale. So another factor is scalability of that product. Another is capability. So whether this product today, say for example, Uber, when it is solving your transport problem, can
Yes.
it pivot to other industries? Can it pivot to healthcare delivery? Can it pivot to food delivery, which I believe Uber has already done with Uber Eats. So how
Yes.
capable is your product to pivot to different verticals? And another, and the last and the most important is monetizability. I mean, you may have a very good product and a very good opportunity, but are customers actually willing to pay for that product? Is there an
Yes.
established market
That's
for that
definitely.
product? How are you going to, how soon are you going to break even? How soon are you going to get to your 10% return on capital mark, or how soon are you going to get to 25%? So monetizability is very important. Everything needs money to survive, basically. So I would say opportunity, scalability, capability, monetizability are the four
Yes.
factors that we would look in any basic, are the four basic factors that we would look into any company before taking our decision.
Okay. Yes. That was a very deep and very good description of what should we look into if we get into this career. What are the main factors we need
Yeah,
to understand?
see, I mean, Mohita, I mean, it may not be this understanding or this domain expertise may not come overnight, or it is not
Yes.
that we are in our curriculum or academic curriculum, we are trained to evaluate all these things. But this is how what the approach should be. I mean, of course, when you go along your deal making process, you come across your balance sheets, you come across your past audited statements, you come across your profitability statements. All these things definitely matter, but what is important is this intangible factors. I mean, something beyond balance sheet you have to look, and we have team to do that, basically.
Okay. Non-financial factors.
Yes.
Okay. So you've mentioned here curriculum and subjects, etc. So I would want to know that is there any course or like certification kind of thing that we can do to get into venture capitalism or to gain a little knowledge in this?
So there are no recommended courses or there are mandatory courses that you do. It is on your normal graduation or post graduation courses that you would have done would help you go up the ladder in this industry. I mean, frankly, in venture capital today, there are chartered accountants working, there are MBAs working, there are engineers working, there are lawyers working, and everybody brings different value addition to the table. Lawyer would help you understand your agreements thoroughly. Engineers would usually determine how the technology is capable of, or is there any refinement required. MBAs, chartered accountants are more from a financial perspective. So there are different, I would say, people working in this industry from diverse specializations. For chartered accountants, I would say the main, of course, apart from as you go up the ladder and you get involved with decision making, to start with,
Yes.
the avenues would be you can work as a financial analyst with a venture capital fund, where they require assistance with understanding your financials, your balance sheets, or profitability statements, and your ratio analysis is an
Yes.
important thing. Another aspect is where you can work on the valuation aspects of a deal. I mean, how the valuations are happening, and whether it is a cost plus model, or it is a multiple of a revenue or multiple of profitability. And another thing is in your diligence processes before making this investment, venture capitals would usually undertake a lot of legal and financial diligences. Legal diligence is done by lawyers, and chartered accountants would usually do the financial diligences. So diligence is one
Yes.
important aspect. And I believe most of this, see, I am from my experience saying most of these aspects are covered in our normal chartered accountancy course, and our courses are well designed to help candidates cater to the requirements of business. But if somebody wants to do a further study, I think our institute also does the certificate, post qualification certificate courses on valuation, on financial management. One may look to explore that, but that is not mandatory.
So, I moving forward, there is one question which has been going on in my mind. You said about your entry point was like you've had like you have gained 13 years of experience, and through your professional no, professional colleagues, or they got together and you started this venture partners firm. So this was for you, but what is for us? Entry point for us is you said financial analyst and all.
Yeah.
So I think I am also a financial analyst working in Accenture, and Accenture is an IT firm, so it's not a venture capital firm. But if I come to you or a firm which is venture capitalism, what should I expect there? What should I do from my previous experience? As I have less than 1 year experience, I am a fresher CA. Would they hire me based on my I mean degree or little experience?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are two ways to look at this, Mohita, I would say. One is your technical domain expertise. When you say you are a chartered accountant, of course, your understanding of financials of the firm, your understanding of taxation, your understanding of compliances will definitely matter. But on another aspect, what also matters, as I said, venture capital today is all about investing. And investing is not only numbers always, it is more of a study and understanding of business aspects. So, your approach, your attitude, and your openness to different problems will also matter. One may need not take all the decisions on day one, but for a candidate, I would also like to see how open he is in problem solving capabilities, how open he is understanding the business aspects beyond balance sheet, and what is his approach towards it. So all these things will definitely matter. I mean, yes, I mean, based on your technical knowledge, I will definitely hire a fresher chartered accountant to do a financial analyst job. But when I am building my team, what I am looking at is that how far can this relationship go, and those when one would like to succeed in their respective careers and go up the ladder, there is something beyond the financials and balance sheets that you got to develop in you as you work
Yes.
along. You got to learn from your seniors, you got to learn from your peers, your competitors. So all those capabilities also does matter.
Yes, definitely, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem solving skills you mentioned. Can you give an example which like the important or like most remarkable or memorable thing you have learned in your career in venture capitalism and also in your articleship and throughout the 13 years?
Yeah. So, as I said, I mean, this profile brings you a lot of flavor that is around there in the market. So, for
Yes.
example, whenever you are making any investment, of course, after your financial and legal diligences, there is a lot of discussion and negotiation as to how much percentage would an investor get, or how much rights would an investor get, whether there are different forms of agreements that are to be entered, whether say today Cornerstone, if it is making an investment in some XYZ company, I mean, for 10% stake, what will be my rights, what will be my powers in the company, all these negotiations come. And many a times founders would not want to relinquish lot of rights to investors because that becomes burden. So then those negotiations that you have to undergo, and you have to bring solutions to different problems, I mean bottlenecks that would come, something that is very non-negotiable from my firm's perspective. We have to communicate that, and somewhere you have to find a middle ground as to how this problem can be solved and we can move forward. So that is very important, and that we almost do on day-to-day basis, I would say, because while we are evaluating so many startups, and how these rights would happen, so that is how we do it.
Yes. You've mentioned that many of the things that we need to be like to have knowledge in to get into this career, venture capitalism. Most of the subjects are covered in our ICI courses. And what are the subjects that we should be like expert in to get into this? Specifically, the subjects which have included in our
So
course.
I mean, there is no straightforward answer to this, but depending upon your interest, I would say that if a candidate is very good with ratios, I would say the entire SFM module of final course, I would say, would be very helpful to go through. If you are more inclined towards the agreements or the legal part of it, or if you are very good at interpreting law, then I would say, of course, the law module is there. So depending upon your interest and your inclination, either it can be legal, either it can be financial, and it can both help you excel in this form.
Okay. I myself have been a little partial with project finance. I didn't get to do it much in my articleship, but whenever I get a chance to help someone with the projects, I move forward and I just take a charge and get into it.
No,
And of course,
absolutely, I agree. Absolutely, I agree. As I said, in my good old articleship days, there was, since at that time, only bank finance was the modes of finance available for businesses. Banks would demand a lot of CMA reports to be filled up, and which we have done a lot in our articleship days. And at those time, making sure that the ratios are correct, your asset numbers are properly mentioned, your liabilities are captured. And yeah, I mean, that training, I would say, that I had is now very helpful in my current role as CFO here, because it enables me to understand different ratios and what is the importance of different ratios in making this decision and evaluating business performances.
yes. Um, Sir, one more question which I have came to know from few students and a few fellow chartered accountants that as you one aspect of your venture capitalism business or the firm is to attract investors, right? Attract investors. So to attract them, you may have to present them with your ideas or your portfolios, and then they decide what to do with the portfolio or should they invest or not. So for this work, do you prefer CAs or the MBAs?
So usually investor relationship is managed by the core management team and the leadership team. So it is nothing defined as to whether it has to be a CA or an MBA. So, but since investor relationship is very core to this industry, it is managed by the leadership team only. I mean, and in managing that leadership team, we would need to present them with periodic reports of the fund performance, how the portfolio companies are performing, and how your fund is performing. And those reports are prepared by analyst team. This can be chartered accountants, this can be MBAs. There is no very defined bifurcation as to what is the role of an MBA or what is the role of a chartered accountant. In fact, in our firm, we have two chartered accountants working as analysts with me. and they are the one making all the investor reports, presentations for the investors, what is our quarterly performance, and which we present to our investors team. So yeah, I mean, chartered accountants are very helpful in that way to design these reports and update these reports.
Yes, in a presentable way, they are also successful. Like MBAs are not only one who can successfully land a presentation or a client.
Yeah, definitely. I would say it is upon an individual how, as I said, beyond numbers and balance sheet, how you are able to present yourself. And see, I know, I mean, this debate or this discussion has been going for quite a while, whether MBA or CA, how it is preferred. I mean, I would quote one of the leading industrialists in this matter, where he said that if I have to set up a successful business, I would hire 10 MBAs to run my business. And
Mhm.
on top of that 10 MBAs, I would hire one chartered accountant to tell these MBAs how to run the business.
Yes, yes.
So,
I remember hearing this. Yes,
yeah. So there is nothing that what MBA can do, a chartered accountant cannot do. So it is
yes,
just upon individual that how he gears up with the requirements of the business, and definitely chartered accountants do excel here.
yes. Um, Sir, as your firm is in venture capitalism, what are the other like big firms? As we speak about management consultancy, McKinsey, the big fours. What are the big firms which have expanded their horizons in this field?
So from Indian firms, I would say we do VC investment. There is a fund called 314 Capital, which is Bangalore-based fund, which is Indian fund. Then there is this fund called Iron Pillar Fund, which is again an Indian fund. And in global funds, you have Sequoia Capital having substantial presence in India.
Yes.
You have Tiger Global, you have Excel, you have Lightspeed Ventures. So there are more than, I would say, 500 plus VC funds today operating in India, both Indian and international. And yeah, I mean, so it's a very competitive space that way.
Okay, as this is a little unusual than what chartered accountants or the students have in mind when they start their career, that we are mostly about like, okay, we will become a CA and then we'll work for a big four or we'll start our own practice. That's the one thing that goes on in our mind for the first year of articleship. Then we start thinking a little different, like, yeah, there are other companies like IT companies or the manufacturing concerns who are hiring CAs to run their financial departments or to become a CFO like you. And yeah, these are the things that we get to know with the time. Like first year of articleship, our word is like this, and then it becomes like this, and then it goes bigger and bigger. So, with your experience of 13 years, what do you think should be the like with you found your interest in venture capitalism after 13 years, but we are fresher and we are also confused that how to find our passion in this field or the fields which are available to us. How to find our passion?
So I will say that I was not inclined to venture capitals after 13 years. But as I said, my fascination was always towards numbers or always towards financial aspects of business.
Yes,
And when I was younger in my articleship days, venture capital was not very prevalent in India. And
yes.
as I come along in my professional journey, and when venture capital is being set up in 2015, 2016, I get this opportunity in 2017 to lead a VC fund, which I am currently doing. So I would say this passion or this interest, one will need to identify as they come along in their articleship journey or industrial trainee journey, I understand that in the beginning of your CA curriculum, you may not be very clear as to where you want to focus, but by the time you reach towards your final examination or as you go along, you would understand whether you are more inclined towards law subjects, or you are more inclined towards auditing subjects, or you are more inclined towards financial subjects. And that is how I think you should take your decision. So I will say, when I was doing my articleship, whenever my the principal would give me some CMA reports to be updated or some project finance reports to be prepared, I would complete those assignments in 2 days. But similarly, if I have to go on an auditing assignment for an client, that audit assignment I would not, I realized that later on that this is not something that I am doing as passionately as I am doing my CMA reports or project finance reports. And then by the time I reached my final examination, I was very clear that a post qualification, I want to have something with accounting and finance to do, and not something which is inclined to taxation or auditing. And so that was my profile all the while. So while a candidate is in his professional journey, academic journey, they will have to identify their interest, what something that they are doing very passionately and something that they are just doing for the sake of doing because it's their job to do. So I think you got to follow your heart in that matter, that what I can do very passionately, or what I want to do, given a choice, a project A and project B. Say if project is an auditing project and project B is a project finance thing. So what I want to do, given a choice, is what something you have to identify.
Yes, sir, now we have only two questions I have in my mind regarding venture capitalism. The first is it came from students that they wanted to ask that if we are willing to work in a venture capitalism firm, what is the interview process, or do they have any exams for us planned, or like it depends on company to company, that we agree, but is there any common measure that they use to review the candidates or something like that?
Yeah, so there is no written exam as to get your appointment done, but in your interview process, there is oral as well as written interviews. So in your oral interviews, they will focus mainly on your technical aspects. Say if you are coming from, say if you are a chartered accountant, then your knowledge of your financial ratios, your knowledge of your various applicable laws or compliances that are required. So that is what they will cover in your technical oral interview. A written interview is more inclined, as I said, about the intangible characteristics. It is kind of your aptitude test. I mean, they would try to gauge your mental openness to different aspects of business. They will try to gauge your thing as to how openly you can accept new things. It's kind of an aptitude test they would take. So that is how we usually do. I am sure other firms in the industry would also be following this process. So it is not an exam kind of a thing, but it is a kind of an aptitude test that you may have to undergo.
Okay, like you will give us a scenario and we have to use our problem solving skills or the leadership
Basically
skills
case
to
studies.
manage.
It's case studies that you would need to just undertake.
Yes.
These are very basic questions and basic case studies. I mean, something that we would come across in our day-to-day life, but we have never analyzed that from that perspective. And it is not something merger case study of, say, future retail and Reliance mein kya hua. We are not talking of that here.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. And the another question is सबसे सबसे important सवाल है वो कि what is the pay we should expect like a yearly, क्योंकि हम लोग सीए बन जाते हैं उसके बाद parents would be like हो गया, अब बस हो गया, अब पढ़ाई वढ़ाई छोड़ दे, अभी कुछ कमा के दिखा. तो what should we expect? Minimum pay, what should we expect?
So, I mean, see again, Mohita, that will depend on what kind of experience you are coming along from, or are you a fresher, or do you have any industry exposure? But for a starter or a fresher, I would say the bandwidth will range anywhere between 4 to 6 lakhs to start with.
Okay, yes. In
Yeah,
Mumbai.
in Mumbai.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are basically from Mumbai, or your
Yeah.
hometown is different?
No, no, I am hailing from Mumbai.
Okay. Yes. And is there anyone in your family who has been inspired by you after you became a chartered accountant, who followed your passion, or who followed you actually?
So I don't know. Nobody has that way come forward, acknowledging that. But yes, in our neighborhood, I have many friends who have taken up chartered accountancy. I was, as I said, in my family and in my complex here where I stay, I was the first chartered accountant.
Yes. Yes.
So,
You mentioned that.
yeah, so yes, today I have a lot of cousins who are chartered accountants, younger cousins. I have many friends in my neighborhood who have taken chartered accountancy, and yeah, I mean the approach or the impression towards the chartered accountancy profession now has changed a lot, and it is not just as an auditor or a tax consultant that we are seen. I know in my professional circle so many chartered accountants who are not actually into active practice. I have friends who are working with other VC firms. I have friends who are working in journalism. I have friends who are working in digital marketing today, having completed their chartered accountancy. So it is a very diverse opportunities and a very wide spectrum, I would say, that one can explore.
Yes, yes, definitely. There is no focused limelight on our profession. Even until now, when I became a CA, I'm the first CA from my village, and it was a big deal. Even I had to explain my relatives who doesn't know anything about CA that what is a CA. My dad works in a bank, and I have to tell them, okay, so whatever my dad works in the bank, I have to check it all. So that's what a CA does. And they
Yeah,
will be like, okay, yeah, now we understand.
absolutely.
There is no focused limelight on that. Yes. And we always face this problem with relatives or the friends, families, that what does a chartered accountant do? What exactly is a CA? Yes, we have been focusing on that. And yes, people get inspired because this profession has its own respect. And as you said, that it's definitely something larger than life experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So as I said, basically, Mohita, one got to be very open to the opportunities that are moving around. I mean, today with a competitive world, nothing will land at your doorstep. You have to be just open as to what's happening around and what are the value additions that we can make around. But the opportunities, as I said, they are much beyond your taxation or your auditing profession that you can do now with chartered accountancy course. Legal field has so much openings and acceptance for chartered accountants. VC fund we have today. Insurance sector is available. Investment banking we are talking about. There are a lot of chartered accountants venturing into investment banking. So yeah, it is a new age, new time for chartered accountants.
Yes. So moving forward to investment banking, first of all, what is the difference between venture capitalism and investment banking?
So I would say investment banking is can be your first step towards venture capital. Investment banking is more about executing a deal, or it is more about bridging that gap between investor and a portfolio company who is looking for investment. So they are more into deal execution process, whereas venture capital is more about evaluating a deal and decision making whether a particular investment needs warrants investment or not, or whether we should make this investment. So investment banker is a intermediary, I would say, between a venture capital and a investee company who is looking for an investment.
Yes. Okay. Have I don't know, but have do you know about Shark Tank? There is a show called Shark Tank.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's definitely like they have venture capitalists sitting over
So
there, and
Shark Tank, I will tell you, they are kind of, yes, they can be called as venture capital, but very technically in our industry, we call them angel investors or seed investors.
yes,
So
yes,
when you are only at a product idea stage and you have not started your commercial exploitation of the product, you
yes,
need some capital. So to such angel investors, you make a presentation. Okay, this is my idea. I'm going to make this, and this is what how it will scale. So
yes,
before you actually start commercial production, whatever capital is invested by seed investors.
yes,
So this Shark Tank, I would say they are more of a seed investors or angel investors category. Of course, as you grow along, and they would also need more capital, and when you invest that money, it is venture capital money that you are talking about.
yes. So, does your firm provides angel investors to the small businesses or new business ideas?
No, as a policy matter, we invest only after a certain stage. So after a startup company has reached an X amount of revenue is where we come in, and our ticket sizes are there. But there are a lot of angel platforms around in the market. You have India Angel Networks, you have Mumbai Angels, you have Chennai Angels, you have Calcutta Angels, everybody investing who provide this seed capital. You have crowdfunding platforms where ticket sizes are smaller. You have one crowd. You have venture catalysts who do this. So there are different. I mean, as I said, as you have different theses for different firms, there are different entry stages that each firm has defined for themselves as to what ticket size they want to enter.
Yes,
So we enter at a series A or a pre-series A mainly. We don't enter at a seed stage, but there are a lot of angel network platforms in the market, and they do this seed investment. In fact, for our aspiring candidates, I would recommend that if they are looking for an opportunity in this space, they should start considering to work with this crowdfunding platforms or angel platforms to start with, because what happens is these platforms they have a lot of exposure to the deals since they are making smaller investments. The
yes,
deal, the number of deals that they execute are more, and because they execute more number of deals, you come across different scenarios much faster as you would come across in a venture capital firm. So as we spoke in the beginning, small size CA firm versus a big four, the exposure that you get. Similar is the case with this angel platforms versus a fully grown VC fund or a PE fund. So once you start with these angel platforms, you get a lot of exposure in initial 2 to 3 years, and then
yes.
maybe you can upgrade yourself or scale up to a fully grown VC firm.
Okay, yes. Now that you said that investment banking is the first stage to start a career in venture capitalism, so how do one become an investment banker?
Again, I mean, investment banking again is a very specialized profile of a banking operation, and a lot of Indian and multinational banks have these divisions, and there are now a lot of private players also who are doing this. So maybe, I mean, you if you keep and watch on this banking websites and vacancies that come along, ICICI has a very strong investment banking division. So does HDFC, your Citibank, your Morgan Stanley, and
Yes.
they publish these vacancies regularly. And there are a lot of other private investment banking firms also who do this. If I'm not sure, WNS does that. Even Accenture has, I think, an investment bank division, if I'm not
Yes.
wrong. So yeah, I mean, and there is no, again, as I mentioned, like venture capital, here you don't need a specialized degree or a qualification. Your post qualification degree of your MBA or a CFA or even a chartered accountant would help you. It is just that I mentioned earlier, it is just your approach towards the deal and your deal making capabilities will what enable you scale up here.
Yes, actually, when we search on Google for what should be the qualification for becoming an investment banker, they the first option they give us is a CFA. So, is it worth becoming a CFA after being a CA, or you don't need that?
I would say people who can't get through their chartered accountancy would enroll for a CFA. I mean, nothing to demean the CFA course, but I would say people prefer more CFA because CFA is purely focused only on your financial aspects. They don't have those auditing subjects or a law subject or direct taxes or indirect taxes there. So the core focus of the entire curriculum is on your financial management. And that is where I think CFAs are getting much easier entry into investment banking compared to a chartered accountant. But there is nothing like a CA versus CFA thing. So far as you are good with your financial subjects, I think the opportunities are wide open.
Okay. Yes, definitely. Depends student. Yes, of
Yeah,
course. And I think I have heard that see our CA profession or the CA course, basically the course, the curriculum we undergo, it is very friendly in the financial perspective manner. Like financially, it can be done even if any student is not able to not able to build up a good money for their education, even if it's a
yeah.
uh, like daridra reshe khalse je लोक असतात. Yes,
Correct,
we
correct.
call
I
it
totally
below the.
correct, correct.
Yes,
I totally agree. You don't need a huge capital investment to undergo your chartered accountancy course, and
yes,
it provides you with all the technical knowledge that is required basically to excel in finance industry. So
the,
definitely that is an advantage with a chartered accountancy course, and our institute has done a fantastic job to provide such high quality training at such nominal cost to candidates. Whereas compared to chartered accountancy, your CFAs and your MBA courses are much expensive. But as
yes,
I said, people have their specialized interest and their inclination towards a particular course. So nothing wrong with that. But chartered accountants are well capable of excelling in investment banking as well as they are capable of excelling in venture capital.
yes, CFAs, to become a CFA, it costs a little higher than expected. Even I wanted to enroll for it, but after I saw the course details and the fee details, I was like, okay, okay, I'll work for a year and I'll keep money aside for that course. Yes,
So I'll tell you, once you complete, now that you have completed your chartered accountancy, once you work along in any of the profile, whether investment banking or in VC, in a year's time, you will realize that you actually have all the technical qualifications and knowledge that is required to perform that job. And any other degree, be it an MBA finance degree or a CFA degree, is just a degree for the namesake. I mean, whatever technical knowledge you're going to get there, you already are possessing that here.
yes. What are the firms in investment banking? What are the companies in investment banking from which we can expect an offer? Like we can get
So,
into
as
this.
I said, all the leading banks today in you name the
Yes.
bank today. I mean, be it big Kotak, be it ICICI, your
Yes.
Citibank, your HDFC. Everybody has that. And if you Google around, there are a lot of private firms also now setting up investment banking divisions. So the spectrum is much wide. I mean, the all the banks have that, and you can
Yes.
keep a tab on this vacancies through their websites also. They keep posting this vacancies on their website very regularly.
Okay. There is one section or a field in Big Fours I have seen, mergers and acquisitions, M&A profile. So I think it is a little bit similar to what we do here, like financial analysis and then decide whether to get into the deal or not. It be a similar thing that we can look into?
So what Big Four usually do is, as I said, executing the deal. I mean, when it comes to a merger and acquisition deal, they would take care of your deal documentation. They would take care of your deals due diligences to be performed. They
Hmm.
would take care of what are the shareholder agreements that you need to enter into, and all the related aspects. But ultimately the decision making, what whether this deal has to be move forward with or not, the decision lies with the potential investor only. So all the support, once that decision is made, all the support that is required is basically provided by this investment banking firms or this big four firms who have these M&A divisions.
Okay, so the decision making, before decision making, we don't have any role in it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of decisions would depend on your diligence findings also. So today, a venture capital firm or a private equity firm may approach you as a big four that we are looking to evaluate this deal. Can you help us conduct diligences for this deal? And the findings of your diligence may have a substantial impact on the decision making.
Yes, they
Yeah.
may drive the deal. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does play a significant part in your decision making process.
Yes, now that you are a CFO at this venture capitalism firm, and like you have got this experience, do you like willing to stay there for a while, or you are looking for new opportunities, or what is your career path next to this?
No, absolutely. I mean, I am very much enjoying this profile, and absolutely, I'm looking pretty much way forward with this profile only. I mean, as I said, we started this journey back in 2017, and now we are looking to uh, close our first fund in next year in 2022. So beyond that, the vision is much wider. We have fund two coming up. We have international offshore fund coming up. So there are a lot of scopes yet to be explored, and there are a lot of unexplored territories yet here. And I pretty much plan to stay here and hopefully retire from this profile.
Okay. Okay. Now I think I will sum up this session with the last question. That do you have any advice for us, fresher chartered accountants, or the students who are at the final stage of chartered accountancy course? Any advice for them?
So, my only advice will be, as we have spoken, do it passionately. Whatever you are doing, just give your full attention and energy in doing that. Whether you take up a venture capital profile, or whether you take up something with insurance sector, or you are good and you are wanting to stay with your traditional practice areas of auditing or taxation. Of course, that those are also important. So whatever
Yes.
you're doing, do it passionately, and identify your strengths, also your weaknesses, and try improving on your strengths. Work to do away with your weaknesses, and the sky is the limit for you. Nothing is
Yes,
the limit of you.
definitely. Yes. Once you are interested in that and you are very much serious about it, nothing can stop you from being a successful person. Yes, definitely. Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us. And it was a very interactive and a very much knowledgeable session we had here. And it would definitely help us all to give more focus to what matters the most, like gaining knowledge, hardworking, and be passionate about whatever you do. And of course, the subject of our session, venture capitalism and investment banking. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mohita. Thank you, Nikesh, and thank you, WIRC and ICAI for hosting.
Yes.
Hold up.